15 decision that 100x your productivity. The 90/90/1 rule. The tight bubble of total focus strategy. The A-player orbit mentality. The learned minimalism philosophy. I hope this mastery session serves your productivity beautifully. With love plus respect. A method to X100 your productivity. This mastery session is all about a method to X100, to increase by a factor of 100, your productivity. We live in a world right now where productivity, and in particular what I call exponential productivity, has never been so important. Here's a brain tattoo for you to consider. An addiction to distraction will be the death of your creative production. Here's another brain tattoo for you to consider. We live in a world where focus is more valuable than even your intelligence. I mean, if you watch most performers today, you watch most people in business today, you watch most people in your community today, and they are walking while checking their social feeds. You know, they are addicted to the entertainment of video games. They are spending the best hours of their days watching dancing cats on YouTube. I mean, it is incredible right now how consumed people are with their tiny white screens, and yet if you look at the A players, if you look at many of the most creative and productive people on the planet, they are doing, and working, in such vastly different ways, because if you want to achieve the results only 5% achieve, you've got to think, and produce, and behave like only 5% of the people on the planet. The best people on the planet, in terms of creativity and productivity, are not spending their finest hours addicted to distraction. They are doing work that matters. They're not doing fake work. They're doing real work, and so in this mastery session I want to walk you through a number of protocols that will really help you multiply your productivity in the finest of ways. The 90/90/1 rule. I've become pretty well known for this. I've taught it to a lot of people who attend my annual event, the Titan Summit, and they've used this one tool alone to create vast amount of productivity that have scaled their businesses, scaled their impact on the world, and created world-class lifestyles. I really invite you to pay even more attention to the 90/90/1 rule. What's that all about? It's pretty simple, like any great rule. For the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday on your single most important opportunity to move the needle in your industry, and I'll repeat that again with great respect, because it's so important, I believe, to your productivity. The 90/90/1 rule is simply, for the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday on your single most game-changing opportunity, because what happens? A lot of us get to work, and we spend our best hours on our least important activities. We get to work, and we start checking our social feed. We get to work, and we check our texts. We get to work, and we chit-chat at the water cooler about the latest TV show that we watched last night. Research has shown that the morning hours are when you have the most focus, when you have the most energy, and when you have the most willpower, and so you want to use that first 90 minutes. You know, that is game time. That's showtime. Tight bubbles of total focus. The second piece of technology to create exponential productivity is what I call tight bubbles of total focus. Your environment is so important, and if you look at B performers or C producers, they really don't pay a lot of attention to their environment, and so they get very distracted. There's lots of noises. Their phones are going off. Maybe there's news in the background. Maybe there's messy environments all around them. Maybe there's toxic people. What I'm suggesting to you as the second piece of technology to really 100 times your productivity is this: install environments of tight bubbles of total focus. The way I run my work life on certain days, I am very hard to reach, and I challenge you with great love and respect, be very hard to reach during key times of your week. I mean, I see a lot of people, and it's not judging them, it's just observing them. Every time their phone rings, they check it, or they have these loud notifications, so they're constantly being distracted. We know what the research says. The research says we spend 2.1 hours a day in distraction. It takes 21 minutes to refocus your focus after you've been distracted. So if you are being distracted by notifications, checking your phone, checking your Twitter feed, checking your Facebook feed, looking on Instagram, checking all the different platforms, that is going to destroy your focus. So the second piece of technology is create these tight bubbles of total focus. The way I do it is I have certain days that I label as creative days. On those creative days, I actually go device free. On those days I am very hard to find, and on those days I'm in total solitude, and on those days I go to certain places. I call them my Menlo labs. Just like Edison had his Menlo lab. These places are very minimalist, and there's no one there, and that's where I do my best work. So install these tight bubbles of total focus, and create these Menlo labs where you're completely distraction free. Then you will find your brain will drop from the beta state into the alpha state where you will do your best work and get your best ideas. Choose your peer group. The next piece of technology that will help you create exponential productivity in your work life, so you truly impact the world around you, is choose your peer group really, really well. There's a lot of excellent science coming out, and a lot of excellent research coming out that says the number one way to improve your behavior is to surround yourself with a peer group, or a social circle, of people who are also playing at the level you want to be playing at. If you want to be a high performer, in terms of your productivity, populate your life with high performers. Now here's the science behind it. In the brain we have something called the mirror neuron system of the brain, and it dates back to many hundreds and hundreds of years ago when we were living on the savannah, and this mirror neuron system allowed us to model the behavior of the dominant people in the tribe. If someone figured out a tool, or figured out fire, or a better way to survive, subconsciously the system in the brain allowed us to model the behavior, and I think this is pretty fascinating information. Now here we are in the modern world, and what happens? Subconsciously, we are modeling the behavior of the people we spend most of our time with, and so if you are around victims, you will start behaving like a victim. If you are around people who are mediocre performers, you will subconsciously start behaving like them. If you are around people who gossip, who are not A players, who do not produce very much, you will subconsciously, because of the mirror neuron system in the brain, start performing like them. Why else is it important to surround yourself with a peer set, or a social orbit, of A players? Emotional contagion, and that's a scientific phenomenon that simply says we pick up on the emotions of the people that are around us. If you are around a social circle of people who are inspired, people who want to do great work, people who want to be ultra productive, people who want to be innovative, people who are relentlessly optimizing their work, their thinking, their creativity, just being around them will allow you to adopt their energy and their ways of being. Learn minimalism. Then the final technology for you to create exponential productivity is what I call learn minimalism. You know, minimalism is often considered as a design philosophy, right? It's like very stark, very sparse, sometimes industrial. Lots of white,